I just absolutely loved my experience in the States, and I wanted to be able to share that with more South Africans and give them the opportunity to, use the sport that they love as a vehicle to get an incredible education. So at Aspire Atlantic, our vision is to give students that opportunity to study, get a degree, and then also pursue professional sports. But we know that the vast majority of the athletes in our program, they all want to go pro, but 99% of them aren't. So we want to make sure that they've got a plan B. They go there, get an education. If they go pro, we'll be super happy. If they don't, they can always come back to South Africa and get a job, or stay in the States. Preferably come back to South Africa. We need your skills. So we always encourage our athletes to come home and really implement what they learned in that global experience, because as a South African, our diversified thinking in America just gets upskilled, and then you can bring it back home and just create a thriving environment. That's a little bit of background on me and Aspire Atlantic, and I'm going to pass you guys back to Jared. He's going to be interviewing me today. So Jared, before I get started, thank you so much for organizing this and coordinating this, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for thanks for the background. Awesome, guys. Thank you for everyone that joined. I saw a couple of guys joining. Ben, welcome. Great to have you as well. So Tyler, just give us some insight as to how has COVID-19 impacted our current students in the States?
So it's been devastating. So in the middle of March, the start of March, students were happily finishing up their winter sports. They were let go on their spring break. A lot of our students obviously went to the coast and enjoyed their spring break, and it's a lot of fun. And then they got back to campus in a very different environment. They were no longer allowed on campus. If they did get back on campus in time, they were asked to pack up as soon as they could and then head back home. So a lot of our students were kind of caught in the middle of that. Some of them got back to campus a little bit late, and South Africa had already implemented their lockdown. So I think spring breaks between 8 and 10 days. So they got back to campus and there was no way out. So a lot of students left early, came back to South Africa. They're with their families now. They're doing their spring semester online. But there were also a lot of students that didn't make it back in time. So some of them are locked in their dormitories. We've got a couple of students that were roommated with international guys. They had to separate. They're in separate dorms right now. They're getting food and supplies delivered to them inside their dorms. They can walk around inside the buildings, but limited social contact, and they're all alone. A lot of other students, stayed with coaches. A lot of the coaches took in athletes, and obviously friends and girlfriends. A lot of our guys and girls managed to secure a place with American families if they had been locked out of South Africa and they weren't able to be repatriated on time.
Okay, interesting to know. Yeah, that's it's they're devastating for all of us, and it helps us to understand how to navigate through this and to stay calm, I guess. That I think you answered our second question. Are some of our students stuck there? I think you gave some good insights as to that. What about sports eligibility? So students who have missed the spring season, we know some of the swimmers, the track and field athletes. Will they be able to come back, play another season? How does that influence, students, senior year students? How will that impact them? And also, how will it impact their clock?
So it's a good question. So fourth year seniors, so final year students, obviously spring students like track athletes, golfers, tennis players. This was really their season, their final season to make a big impact. And a lot of those guys were kind of banking on this season to be the springboard into the Olympics. Especially with the basketball. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the NCAA. They have what's called the NCAA March Madness, which is a huge basketball event. And that is basically the springboard for a lot of elite basketball players to then go on to the NBA. And they've lost that opportunity now. So what the NCAA has done is said, well, the winter athletes who finished their seasons in winter, they will not be able to get another year of eligibility, meaning that once this year is over, those athletes are done. They got their turn to play and participate. But the spring athletes, the golfers, the basketball players, the runners, they will have the ability to have one more year of eligibility. So the NCAA says you can play 4 years of sport within a 5-year period. So you can have 1 year. You can have 1 year where you kind of maybe don't make the team, or you take a gap year, or they're kind of extending that eligibility for another year. So, but that is the NCAA's mandate. The universities and colleges themselves don't have to honor that. They can if they want to, but they don't have to. So at the end of the day, the NCAA has opened up the National Student Assistance Fund. I think there's closing in on $1 billion in there, available in student aid to be able to bring those seniors back. It's open, but whether or not universities access that fund to bring those students back is a different story, because college sports is like a conveyor belt. You know, you're first, second, third, fourth, and then you finish, and then you have new freshmen coming in. Well, we're in the situation now where seniors are getting an opportunity to stay. So there's no more conveyor belt. There's just more people coming in. So the NCAA is in a unique situation where they're still bringing in more students, and they're giving access to additional scholarship funds for colleges that have already committed. So, you know, universities have already signed their incoming athletes for the fall, but they're also allowing students to now stay in for another year. So they have allowed that, but whether or not the schools allow it is a different story.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. That's some great feedback, guys. If you have any questions, maybe make a note and send it in the chat function, and then afterwards, so we can hold your thought, make a note, or type the message now, and we'll deal with your questions at the end. So yeah, you know, it's impacted the recruitment. You covered that. What's the implications with the whole student application process at the universities for these students?
So a lot of people are now scared that the application process is now going to somehow change. Absolutely nothing is going to happen with regards to the physical application. A lot of it is done online on the common application. Some universities have their own application portals, and the application and the review process as it stands is not going to change. So if anyone is worried about that and they're looking to apply now coming up, you don't need to stress. But one major thing that has happened, a lot of institutions who have early admissions, early decision, and regular rounds that have already closed those admission rounds, those are now closed. But certain universities have something called rolling admissions, meaning that they close when the university is full. Those obviously will remain open until those institutions are full. But certain institutions now have their application deadlines in May. Some have pushed those back to the middle of June. They're giving students a lot more time to apply, and they're also waiving a lot of the fees. So at the university level, each university is going to have the ability to say, right, we're going to waive these fees going forward. But with regards to admissions, there is going to be no change.
Okay. With students now going this August, this fall, the acceptance to various institutions, we know some top institutions have already made their acceptance and admissions known to students who applied. What about, you know, students applying who applied for this fall? What is the implications for them and their acceptance?
You know, if a student hasn't been accepted, they're just going to have to wait until that admissions decision comes in. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that. You've got your GPA calculations, you've got your SAT, community service, and the SAT is a big talking point. I think that's one. It's going to be a question that we touch on a little bit later. But there are a lot of hard factors and soft factors that institutions look at now. With, you know, high school seniors not being able to finish the year, those hard factors like SATs and your GPA, those are now going to be impacted. So universities are going to look at more of your soft factors. Soft factors include stuff like, you know, what do you do in your spare time, not just play sport. You know, a lot of institutions know you're a good athlete and they know that you're a top academic. But what else? You know, if they can't look at your marks, how else are they going to differentiate you and make sure that they bring in the right type of student athlete into their program? So I don't think there's going to be a drastic change for this fall, but for next fall, if coronavirus stays with us for the next 18 months, it's going to have a major impact on how admissions officers assess those applications. So you just need to, not sit there in fear. You need to take advantage of this. If you want to do pre-med, if you want to become a doctor, and your SAT's been impacted, you can't go to class, or your marks have kind of stagnated, you need to do something different. Like, you need to maybe set up a drive that can help essential service workers. Now, that is a differentiator. What 16 or 17-year-old would think of that? So students now need to start thinking out of the box, and not just being, this is the world's biggest crisis in the last 100 years. You have to keep pushing. You have to take advantage of these opportunities. So many students are in the same situation as you are, but the difference is those students who think differently and act now and take advantage of this are going to be the ones that really excel in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that brings us to the next topic. What does the College Board say? What do they say about, their tests? There was some, rumors that they're going to add more dates because of the ones that's cancelled. What's the latest with regards to the SAT, and also with the application process? Would universities look at you mentioned now the soft factors in detail, but take us through that.
So students who are looking to go this fall that haven't taken the SAT, it is a real worry. A lot of universities, it's at the university level. Once again, some institutions are saying we require it, you're going to have to take it. Other institutions are just completely going test optional. So there's two schools of thought here. There's, test optional institutions and then test required. Test optional institutions, and a lot of really good institutions, don't require the SAT because they know that a student's academic performance can be very good at the classroom level and project level, but when they go into this high-pressured exam environment, they tend to dip a little bit. So they've gone for the approach that I'm going to look at the soft factors, I'm going to look at the GPA. The SAT doesn't really matter. Well, now a lot more universities that now require it are doing that shift. So they are waivering the fees for their admission. They're now waivering the SAT requirement for those institutions. I think some of the elite institutions like the Ivy League, Stanford, Berkeley, that obviously Stanford and Berkeley are not in the Ivy League, but they're at that academic strata that's at an elite level. They are now considering waiving the SAT, and that'll be determined on a case by case. Each university will come up with their own policy. And then on the NCAA level, obviously we have, within Aspire Atlantic, we've got a group of athletes that are now ready to go. They've had their scholarships given to them, but they don't have that SAT requirement, and they're kind of stuck in limbo. So there is a lot of talk. I know the college football, there's a lot of college football players that haven't taken that SAT, and college football in America is a huge money spinner. They make billions from college football, and a lot of those incoming athletes don't have that SAT. So is the NCAA just going to lose out on billions of dollars? I don't think so. So they're going to have to be a lot more lenient with the SAT requirement. They're going to have to take the test optional stance and just review character, GPA, and some of those softer factors. They're going to have to start thinking a little bit laterally here. There has been no announcement from the NCAA, but I think that is what's going to happen.
So from our perspective, it's also very important for us. We as consultants, we want to make sure students don't miss out at these top opportunities. So we always prepare them. We over prepare them. That's how the mind, how our mindset is. What would you say would be the best? Because it is, some would do that, some would not. What would our approach be? Would be a very sound approach to follow in terms of the SAT. With regards to writing or not writing or waiting it out, what would you recommend?
I would definitely recommend continuing to study. I would take the more cautious approach. I would say, maybe coronavirus may be with us for the next 18 months. They're already talking about flattened curves and then flare up. So it could be with us for a while. Who knows? There also could be a vaccine that comes out in the next 2 months, and then life goes back to normal. But I would err on the side of caution. I would get onto the College Board and buy the book if you already haven't bought it. Continue to study, continue to take the practice tests. There have been more SAT dates announced.
Yes.
So because the March and the May dates were cancelled, they have come up with the 29th of August, I believe, is the next SAT date. And they're also thinking of bringing one in for September because the May one was cancelled. So they are making contingency plans just in case coronavirus passes. But if not, if they are having troubles right the way through spring, then the SAT, because the SAT administers something called the AP exam, they do that online. They can easily implement an online SAT test. Now, there are a lot of concerns with colleges and the NCAA about cheating and maybe parents like influencing their decision out of camera, out of speaker shot, but they are making contingency plans that will make that available should testing centers not open again. But back to your question, Gerard, I would keep studying for the SAT. It's not going to hurt you. It's actually going to put you in good stead with regards to classes. The college, the Khan Academy is an amazing resource. It's only going to help you. That if I was a student, if I could go back 15 years, that's what I'd be doing.
Okay. Yeah, that's great because, I think, once it is only contingencies, it's only talks at this stage, nothing formal as of yet. But if that opportunity opens up, you are then, you can take it, the first available one, and then you are ready to take advantage as per se. Okay, so we've covered the NCAA and college eligibility with regards to that and the SAT and how the College Board and how admission is going to look at that. So summer classes, there's some talks, and some of our students you mentioned at the beginning has gone all online. What is the news regarding the fall semester with regards to online classes?
Yeah, so spring semester completely cancelled, went all online pretty much across the nation in the United States. Summer is an interesting semester. Not a lot of people know about it. Most people only know spring and fall. Summer is usually known as summer vacation or summer break, but there is actually a little semester in there. And 99% of the colleges in the States as of today have gone completely online for that. Now, if coronavirus we've got a bit of a coronavirus hangover by the start of fall, which is generally late August, early September, then what I've been reading and what I've been hearing in the industry is that there's going to be a hybrid approach, so that they will start the fall semester as an online semester. And then once fall break hits, which is in the middle of October, once that starts and coronavirus is gone, then they will bring students on campus from the middle of August through to December and then begin the spring semester as normal. So they're talking about a bit of a hybrid approach right now, but who knows? The whole semester could be online. In that case, that brings up a whole bunch of other questions like costs, scholarship. Are students still going to go? What is the SEVIS eligibility? Because SEVIS and visas require students to be full-time on-campus students to have that visa. So what happens in that case? There are a lot of questions around that, but we're just not there yet. But right now there's a hybrid approach. Colleges are still hoping this thing will be under control, but if it is not, then then it's going to be online, and it's hybrid, or it's going to be the whole fall semester will be online, where students can do it from anywhere in the world, coffee shops, their lounges, anywhere. That
ties with that second last question as well. So students who go this was committed for this fall, applied for this fall, accepted, but now have to take online classes. They will follow either the hybrid approach and then join the teams and their classes once all of these are relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of conflicting views, and it's all just opinion at the moment. Anything you read online or you see within forums, it is basically someone's opinion. We have seen a couple of opinions going around that if fall sports are pushed back into winter, they can do that because there's not a lot of conflicting sports between the two seasons. So say, for example, soccer and women's field hockey, those are fall sports. But if they get pushed back until post fall break, which is October through to December, they can do that. Those two sports can overlap pretty easily. Swimming can overlap, or men's water polo can go in there. So yeah, I think that there is contingency plans. The universities are going to have to adapt. NCAA is going to adapt very quickly. So I think that they've got a handle on it, and that's my opinion right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think maybe it opens, obviously, as soon as you touch on something, it opens up more questions. But I think, And I think what's great about in the whole world, and we as a team have been in lockdown for 4 weeks. We've been working from home for 4 weeks, and we had to come up with some contingency strategy where we have to build strong team culture and also not let our students down. So how do we maintain that? So and we adapted quite quickly, and that's fantastic to see what we have with technology. All these things changes the whole world, and the way we do things. So maybe, when something new hits the surface, we chat to you guys, in the next couple of weeks, if there's some drastic changes and some more light on all the things happening with regards to seasons and overlapping and passing that through. One thing we talked about, the students. So let's say a student is signing up our scholarship program. He's grade 11. He's probably going 2022. How's that going to impact him? From everything that we talked about, how do we as Aspire Atlantic think around that?
So the impact of coronavirus on future student athletes is going to be an interesting one. If you want to join the scholarship program, you do need to meet the scholarship requirements. So academic eligibility, athletic eligibility, character requirements. So, we run you through a whole bunch of tests. We interview all of our athletes. We make them apply under deadline conditions. So we test the character. How committed are you to this whole process? We look at your times, or if it's a subjective sport like water polo or soccer, then we obviously bring in our specialist scouts. They do an analysis, bring you into our program, and then we can obviously guarantee those scholarships because it's measurable, and we have experts looking at you and say, listen, this is a full athlete kid or this is a partial athlete kid. We can define that. With regards to everything being locked down, no sports, no nothing, you aren't able to join our program on the scholarship side. If you haven't run the times, or if you haven't swum the times, you can't join it. But what you can join is our admissions assistance program. It's essentially the same program. It's a guidance counseling service where we walk you through all the changes, and all the changes are changing rapidly. If we did this talk on Wednesday, I'd be saying something completely different. So, we're up to date with the latest happenings within the industry, and we're going to guide you and counsel you. That's what the admissions assistance is. It's essentially a guidance service where we take over the administration admissions, and then we update and adjust accordingly in this rapidly changing environment. So if you are looking to go 2021, 2022, and you want this sort of counseling, you wouldn't be, unless you've swum the times or unless you've got the footage, you wouldn't be able to join the scholarship program.
Yeah. Also, maybe we talked about it, in our preparation and gearing up for this webinar. A lot of students, so the audience here today is vastly different to the Instagram live audience. But the questions that have been popping up is, what if I don't have video footage, right? I'm a grade 11 student. I don't have video footage. I have some clips. Are we going to follow that same kind of rationale as you can't join? Have to wait it out until we can make a clear decision as to your abilities. Join.
What students really need to do now is, make a decision and ask themselves some tough questions. This is not normal environment, so they need to really think deeply about if this is really what they want. If you don't have video footage and you're in grade 12, well, I look back on my high school career. I know back then, 15 years ago, there were guys filming my games, and I'm pretty sure if you played soccer, water polo, hockey, whatever it is, at some point in your career, someone was filming that, whether it's St. Mary's hockey, St. Stithian's water polo, St. Peter's soccer, whatever it is, someone was filming. You need to think outside of the box and work really, really hard. Now, this is going to be a true test whether or not you want to take these opportunities, because we're going to touch on this a bit later. But what's incredible about right now is that there are opportunities opening up to people who ordinarily wouldn't have those opportunities. Universities are losing 25-30% of their international enrollment because of coronavirus. What does that mean? Well, it means that there's more space. There's more opportunities for you to take that funding. So if you want this, and you're committed to reaching out to your coach, doing a bit of research, instead of, if kids are finishing their school lessons at 12 or 1 o'clock and, just relaxing and chilling on Instagram, what you can do is now start planning for your future. Those kids who take the initiative now, work hard to secure their futures, are going to be the kids that people look at and say, well, how did you do that? That's the difference between following the crowd and being a sheep, or being a leader, being a lion, taking these things. I'm very passionate about, I think this opportunity with coronavirus is very scary, but at the same time, if you're willing and dedicated, there's opportunities absolutely everywhere. It might be a bit different. It might be a hybrid, online, offline, but if you want to study at, say, Stanford, you got the marks, you got the ability. Obviously, those universities are very, very hard, but now there's more space for you. Usually, you wouldn't be able to even talk to those coaches, where now, for example, with me, I'm on the student recruitment side. So I'm one of the founders, but I'm also the director of recruitment, which means I find talent in South Africa, whereas we've got a whole nother team that just does student management and placement, and they deal with the coaches every single day. In this last week, I've had 3 coaches somehow find my details, say, Tyler, listen, there's space. We need guys for August. We need guys for spring. Now that for me has never happened before. So that is just goes to show the types of environment that we're in. Coaches need you guys more than ever, and if you want it, it's there. It's just up to you.
Okay. Yo, that's fantastic. That's a great. I'll take this snippet and play it to them. That's great stuff. Yeah. Also, if students lose eligibility, we talked about the online classes. Will they lose eligibility?
No. So they're not going to lose eligibility. They'll roll it into that 5-year plan, or they'll grandfather in a 6th year. So that's what they're trying to do with seniors right now. So seniors who are on their 5th year of eligibility, NCAA will give them a 6th year. So if students now going into fall are not able to compete in those 4 sports, they'll get, nothing has been announced, but just going off what has happened to the seniors, I think freshmen who cannot play, they can't treat the 2 different groups differently. They can't give the seniors the opportunity and then withhold it from the freshmen. They will roll it over. So freshmen and seniors will get that additional year of eligibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's been good stuff. Maybe, before we roll to the questions, a word of encouragement, something and you touched on it as well throughout your talk. But what if you could say a golden nugget of things to motivate and encourage students, especially in times where careers are in the balance, future dreams, people don't know. How would you just encourage them and keep them motivated?
Without trying to sound cliche, because I know there's a lot out there at the moment, everyone's trying to stay positive, but the stance that we took right at the beginning with Aspire Atlantic, we switched to digital very, very quickly. We embraced this change. We implemented strategies on how to stay connected as a team and how to align our core values and our mission, and how we can still come together every single day, inspire each other, and take our organization to the next level and continue to change student lives. So now that was our approach as a team. We came together and we said, listen, we're not going to be scared, even though this is a terrifying environment. We're not going to be scared. We're going to see this as an opportunity, because that was a team decision. And I think teams that do that, and students who do this too, who see this as an opportunity, are going to be the ones that emerge from this crisis on top. If you look back in history, there's been 15 or 10 or 15 major financial crises within the last 100 years or 80 years or whatever it is, and there's been massive unrest and instability, but we've always come out of it. I know South Africa is a unique economy and a unique situation, and this is pretty unprecedented, but we will come out of it at some point. Now, if you position yourself right now and not stagnate and not stand still, you're going to come out of it 18, 12, 24 months ahead of however long this thing lasts. You're going to be that much more ahead than everyone else that just stagnates. So what we did as a company, we said, listen, the world is going to come out of this. Do we let go of our employees? Do we downsize? Do we scale back on our investment? And we said, no. We are going to invest in our employees. We're going to invest in the technology that we have, because when we come out, we are going to be the ones to be able to help more students, and we will come out. So I think The same thing with athletes. If you see this as an opportunity to get in touch with coaches, coaches are not very good at administration. Their passion is, coaching teams, dealing with people, reviewing footage, anything but administration. But now that's all they have. They've got nothing else besides their computer screens and, emailing, messaging, phoning, video, Skyping, whatever. Athletes, that's all they can do right now. So if you're the student that's saying, well, I need to put the brakes on this, whenever coronavirus is over, that's when we'll reevaluate. But by then, the opportunities will be lost. So I think that's my takeaway from today is, plan for the exit. Plan to be strong on the back end of this.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Absolutely. Great. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. Obviously, I hope it weaves into our whole discussion. But Ben asked, COVID-19 has given the world economic a big knock, especially in the USA. How do you think this will influence the scholarships?
Yeah, so it is. A lot of institutions do rely on international admissions, and international admissions is going to be down. So it's going to have a major impact. However, that's going to play out in the future. Who knows? But from my perspective right now, coaches are recruiting flat out. They're reaching out to me. I haven't spoken to a coach in about 2.5 years on a recruiting side. Obviously, when I was a founder, there were only a few of us and that we did everything. But now we've got specific teams set up to do that. And it just goes to show that these coaches believe that they're going to come out of it, and they will, and they're planning for it. So they're looking for athletes. Athletes are not looking anymore. So they're having to come out, and it just goes to show you that, these coaches believe, and now the students have to believe. It's financially, the States is really struggling. They've obviously got some horrible numbers. South Africa with unemployment, and I saw UIF today, they're having major issues with issuing that. So we're going to go through some financial hard times. I think we just, we need to think back to the positives and think about how we're going to come out of this and how we're going to emerge. So it's going to be an interesting ride, but plan for the exit. Yeah.
Okay. Just re-emphasizing of continue to follow, just, keep at it and believe. And it's not being naive, it's being, it's a positive state of being and state of mind, because what we experience is that there is still a lot of activity, in some cases more.
I've never been busier. No.
Yeah.
We're so much more efficient now, because before we'd drive to work stuck in traffic for 2 hours, you get there, you're grumpy. Now we wake up, we do our work, and to be honest, I have never been busier.
Okay, awesome. Mohammed asks, what if you're in grade 12 right now and you're applying for 21-4? How's that impacted? Mohammed, Tyler?
Yeah, I think, Mohammed, it's continue on the process, keep working hard on your studies, finish up strong in matric. However they're going to administer those matric exams, you're going to have to continue with your studying. Take the SAT. The SAT is talking about, the College Board is talking about an online SAT. So whenever they release that, absolutely take it. If you've got video footage, send that to us for an evaluation, or reach out to coaches on your own. Just keep pushing forward. If you do have the talent, you'll find the scholarship. We've got, our marketing managers on this call, Tamron White, we received a swimmer, and within 1 day, we got a swimmer in the program. The next day, we had scholarship offers. So the turnaround is like that. So don't think that now everything is stopped. Remain positive. Coaches are still recruiting. They still want guys for this fall. Coaches are still looking for August. So it's an interesting time, and we need to take advantage. If you sign your NLI, if a coach offers you a scholarship and you sign that national letter of intent, that university is legally obligated to give that to you, whether or not you are cleared by the NCAA. If you are NCAA ineligible, you can go to that university and you can study, but you will have to sit on the bench, but they have to take you. Whether that's on campus or online, you are still a part of that institution. So don't stop. Don't take your foot off the throttle, because you're going to miss the opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe as also another question I'll ask about indoor soccer. So we, as a rule with the head count, with the team sports, with soccer and with hockey, we know that outdoor and field is the best game footage. He asked, what if I don't play for a club? Can I send a highlight reel of me playing friendly games and indoor soccer? So, if that's the only footage, it's a great start. But at the end of the day, when the process, and maybe you can correct me if I'm moving into the wrong direction here, but if we recruit, and maybe Tamron can also come in here, but if we recruit, we really want to put the best footage forward to put your
That's
application.
generally not indoor footage. It's a completely different game. You said the same thing with the hockey players. If you send us indoor hockey footage, we can't really assess your ability. So friendlies, outdoor, absolutely, but indoor stuff is not a true reflection. You can have all the skills in the world, but on a bigger field, those skills don't really count for that much. Obviously, they're very important, but send them through anyway. We can take a look. It's a good baseline, but we will never be able to secure scholarships with indoor stuff.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys, it's been fantastic. It's been very valuable. Thank you for your inputs. It's been great. If there's more questions, I hope that if you guys have something, you can send it through now. We can quickly run through that. If not, you're welcome to send us an email, and we can wrap it up and maybe get in touch with you and try to explain it as best possible we can. But yeah, if there's no further questions, I think we can wrap it up, and just thank you for everybody's input and
thank you for joining us, guys. We appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, so maybe just a last look. I'm not seeing anything at the moment. I think have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we'll keep an eye out on our social media feeds for up and coming updates, maybe future opportunities like this. And you're most welcome to invite your friends to join us as well. All right.
Thanks.
Take care.